Excellent. Hi, my name is Vivek, and I'm a second year medical student here at St Andrews University. So, in today's video, I'll be taking you through the steps of how I applied to medicine in the UK as a home student. The first thing you start with is your personal statement. Most people start writing the personal statement around the summer of year 12, and this happens around June, July time, and people usually spend most of the summer doing it. And once September comes around, you can go over to places like your teacher or go check your personal statement with your peers, and hopefully you can refine it in time for the deadline in October. Most people, in terms of the UCAT, also do the UCAT in the summer. So year 12 summer, as you've already probably figured out, is quite a busy one if you're a medic. You will spend most of your summer doing your personal statement and revising either for the UCAT or the BMAT. So this year you can do the UCAT anytime between June and September, and usually there's a slightly longer window of around May or June till October that you can do a UCAT in. Some people do choose to do the earlier BMAT sitting, and so they choose to revise for this over the summer and then just do their UCAT. Most people try to submit their UCAS application around the end of September or the start of October, because leaving it too late can mean that it gets in the way of other things like revising for the BMAT or the UCAT if you're doing a later UCAT slot. And so just getting your UCAT application out of the way is probably the biggest thing I'd recommend. When it comes to interviews, this usually depends on how good your personal statement and your UCAT and BMAT scores have been. Most people with a higher UCAT and BMAT score usually get invited into interview much sooner. So usually around November and October and November. And most universities do interviews all the way up till March and a very early April. All right, so now I'm going to talk through how long I spent for each part of the application process. So for my personal statement, I worked through it between about June and the end of September. So that was quite a while, and it took a lot of refining because it is something that you'll probably never enjoy and never get used to. So it's just a matter of spending time with it until you're happy with what you've got. And make sure not to spend too long on it, because when it comes down to it, unis are much more likely to look at your UCAT and BMAT scores and your predicted grades than anything else. I sat my UCAT in the summer, and what I did was I spent probably the first 5 weeks of the summer doing some intense revision on the resources that you can find on our website, and using things like that. I made sure that I started off with around an hour each day or 1 or 2 hours a day, and then I worked up to about 5 hours a day up until like the week before my exam. Then I toned it down a bit to make sure I didn't get burnt out. For most people, the UCAT is probably the hardest thing to practice for because it's something that's brand new, and because of this, I would recommend pushing back your UCAT if you want to once by about 2 weeks if you don't feel confident, because you do only have one chance to do it and you do want to get it right. In terms of the BMAT, I took it in the normal testing period of around halfway through November. And this is done through your school, and it's something that I revised for from between about halfway through September till November. And using the past papers and going through them multiple times can help you perfect your technique. My UCAS application was entered at the end of September, and in terms of interviews, I got my offer from St Andrews in around March. In terms of my offers, what a lot of universities do is they interview you and don't tell you right until near the end of their process that you've been accepted, even though they've probably already enrolled you and done things like that. So this is just done just to make sure they can get their admin out of the way and enroll you into their courses and things like that provisionally. In terms of making up my mind, I chose St Andrews because it's a much more different course to most other universities. It is a split up course where you spend your first 3 years in St Andrews, and then you can spend your next 3 years at any other partner uni in the UK. So there are places that you can go to, like Edinburgh and Glasgow universities, which are really good. Or you can go to Manchester or Barts, and you can apply externally to places like UCL and Bristol, or you can even apply to Oxbridge if you want for your final 3 years as well. So being able to have this freedom and being able to choose a second university after going to this first one for 3 years was something that I really wanted to do, because I didn't want to spend 6 years in one place. St Andrews is also a town, and I'm really used to living in cities, and London is huge. And I think having a nice change and coming to a small quaint place like this is something that I really wanted to do, and I'm glad that I've chosen it now. My 3 pieces of advice for people who are applying who are home students would probably be: make sure not to spend too much time on one thing. So like I said, nearly all parts of your application are important, but things like your UCAS application and submitting it and things like that, all you need to do is make sure you do that in time. Being able to relax is also important. The application process for med school is probably the hardest part of becoming a doctor. Being able to just take some time out to relax is something that you have to do just so you can make it through the end. You also might have to pace yourself a bit. So making sure you have a set plan is something that is worth noting. So I hope you found my experience helpful and can relate to it if you are currently in the application process or looking to apply. If you have any questions, make sure to drop them below and like, comment, and subscribe.